Hey Leo, welcome to your reading. I'm Empress Rose. These are general readings. We take what works, we leave what doesn't. I'm going to start off with the inspirational deck, the intuitive deck of Moonology and Work Your Light. And then we'll go to the Golden Tarot for a more traditional spread. So we're going to just kind of get an initial line on what's going on for you, Leo. What this week is about, or this sort of nebulous sort of period of, I don't know, 3 to 4 weeks, or that's how I envision it. Not quite sure what the tarot deck itself envisions, but I think it's, you know, timey-wimey stuff, to quote Doctor Who. All right, let's see here. I forget the rest of that quote. Anything for Leo this week? Anything? Anything? One thing. Let's see if we can't get some more. What else do you think about? What does Leo need to know this week? Okay, that feels great. What does Leo need to know this week? I think we got something. We did. Leo doesn't want to talk about it this week. Being a little secretive. Anything else? Well, I'll never find it now. Fine, keep your secrets. I love that. Okay. Okay, end of a tough cycle approaches. Who doesn't love this news? Things have been pretty rough for Leo, if I remember your recent readings correctly. So, end of a tough cycle approaches. That could be great. That could be, you know, the finalization of something that's been really difficult, but something you've been struggling with. I want to say you've been fighting something, some sort of inevitable something. And that's what's created the difficulty, because we're also getting surrendered to the divine here, a full moon. So oftentimes our own difficulties are just, we make our own cycles tough by not surrendering, by not having that openness to any possibility, to anything that can happen, to whatever the universe wants to come into, the inevitable changes that come into our lives, and resisting those, and resisting something that resistance is what I'm getting from this. There's been a lot of resistance that's been very difficult through some sort of situation, but that situation is coming to an end. I think it's going to be eased by surrender. This reminds me of giving birth, actually. The more you fight it, the more you fight the pain, the more you fight the whole thing, the harder it can be. I mean, it's hard already, right? But the harder you can make it by your body fighting it, or you fighting it. So my midwife gave me a mantra of open. So not, get me out of here, or not make it stop, but open. And I just remember like my coach being like, open. And anytime I'd be like, make it stop. So that's sort of what it reminds me of, like you're having some sort of crowning moment here, and you're like, make it stop. This is the worst thing I've ever experienced. And here's your little midwife going, open, don't fight it. Don't fight the end of this. Fighting it's just going to make it much harder than it needs to be. I think that could be what makes it transforms. So it could be that the whole situation is changing and transforming, and you need to surrender to that last little ring of fire, or whatever we're at here. Or this could also be that surrendering to the divine means that whatever situation you're in that you've been fighting and resisting, the tough part of it, that's the toughest part, was all the resistance you were bringing to it. So the end of a tough cycle approaches could either be like you bringing in this, letting go of your resistance to something that's happening very naturally, and your I don't want this feeling for what's happening very naturally, or it could be the situation itself is ending. So I see both possibilities with those two cards. We have break the chain, rewriting the future. Yeah, you've got to change up how you've been dealing with something. This could also be being bound by expectations, or being bound by your resistance. And it could be a norm for you. It could be something that you learned from your parents that a resistance to change, no matter how natural it is, no matter how natural the process of giving birth is. People still resist it. It's been going on for millions of years. All animals do it, right? It's how all of us mammals get here, is this live birth process. So it's very normal. It's a very natural process that you're going through, and your resistance has made it a lot difficult. So you're needing to surrender, especially for this last little push out here. And then the break the chain. You could just be like, this is how my family does things. We scream, I don't want this, the whole way. Even though it's a very natural process, we're screaming for hours on end that we don't want this. So rewriting how you handle situations, so this situation in particular, changing that dynamic of how you handle it, bringing a more healing dynamic to it. Something in you needs to heal so that you're able to surrender here. Some sort of need to control or need to know what happens next, needing to control what happens next, possibly needing things to be exactly the way they always have been, and have your routine fixed so that there's a level of predictability to your life, and there's a sense of being in control. It's like the rhythm part of the song helps you know sort of what's happening next. Like if you can listen to the rhythm of the song, you can guess at where the melody's going, what's happening next. So you may have been relying on that rhythm to sort of lead you through life. And if that rhythm changes, you might have been a little bit frustrated by that and being like, well, now I don't know what lyrics come next. Now I don't know, because that rhythm was giving me predictability in my life so that I could, jump in and knew what to do and could kind of predict, what my week was going to look like. And now there's this whole disruption here and I can't predict that. And now I feel out of control. So that could have been a little bit of what you're resisting. That's what I'm getting from this. So breaking the chain, ancestral patterns, that's what I mean. Like that pattern, that rhythm that you've been in, and that maybe your whole family has been in, and that you learned from your parents, this rhythm of life. And then we can like predict stuff, and everything's very predictable in that rhythm. And here you're being asked to surrender to changes, surrender to difficulty, surrendering to the unexpected. Don't try to control things or resist these changes. And then we're also in Rama. Where are you being called to journey to? So this could be a vision quest, or this could just be getting in touch with your own vision, with what you see. What journey are you being called to? Is there a sacred place that you'd like to visit that might be very healing for you, might allow you to open up? I always find the river, and in my city there's a huge waterfall right downtown. It's very cool. And I love to go there because I can feel this release and this letting go and this opening. So if you are in a place of resistance and things are changing and shifting in a way that's making you feel very discombobulated and unrooted here, going to a place, a sacred place. So that there's one particular bridge across the river that is my favorite, and I like to go there and experience the flow of the river and the flow of life and the flowing everything, and give the river everything, and it can take it to the ocean for me, and rather be at the ocean myself, but I have a river here and it's very special to me. So going to a special place to maybe even do like some sort of releasing ritual, some sort of letting go. I've never suggested that before, but that's what I'm seeing here. Some sort of letting go. This has been really difficult for you. There's been a lot of difficulty here, and maybe you need to let go of something from the past. But this is where you're going to. So we're really focusing on, okay, this tough cycle is ending. So what do we want next? What's the next vision? What's going to be healthier for us? Where do we want things to go? I mean, sometimes I always notice that people tend to be like, I'm not going to be like my parents. I'm not going to be like my parents. And then they've told me and then one day I realized I'm just like my parents. And as a kid listening to this, I thought, well, that's because you were so fixated on what you didn't want that you accidentally recreated it. What you needed to be doing is, what do I want to be instead of my parents? Who do I want to be? If I didn't like that, what am I going to replace it with? Because I think we were talking last week with somebody about how nature abhors a vacuum. So you can't just say, not that. We don't want that. What do you want? And then Say that, state that, allow that to be a vision for you, but don't just say, I'm not going to be like that. Well, what are you going to replace it with? You know, if you didn't like the way your parents handled things, maybe read some parenting books that are more in line with your philosophy and with what you want to do, rather than just saying, well, whatever, as long as it's not that, because you will accidentally do the exact same thing, but maybe with different tools. Maybe instead of spanking your kids, you're going to do timeout. But what really was the problem was a lack of connection to your children, you know, but you were like, I'm not going to do that. And then you hear yourself doing the exact same thing, but just a slightly different variation, but it has the same end result, right? So that might have been not a great example, but the concept stands. You have to figure out what you're going to replace something with. So I think that's why you're getting the, where are you being called to journey to, is sort of like, what do you want instead of this thing that's ending, instead of this difficult thing that's ending, instead of this pattern that has ended, and you need to surrender to sort of the ending of a rhythm, the ending of a pattern. What do you want instead? So you may need to go on some sort of visioning, you know, go see okay, you don't want this tower. What about that tower? Like, what do you see? What do you see your future looking at? Like, because there's some sort of adaptation here that needs to happen, a surrendering that needs to happen to something that's already happening. Okay, so it's already happening. So what do you want instead? What do you want? So that happened. So now what, right? Or that is happening. Yeah, seeing where you want to go and holding that as a vision. But you're also surrendering. So I feel like there's some part of that seeing where it doesn't want you to dictate what it is. It wants you to receive and be open to a new idea. Okay. All right, Leo, what do we have here? This is the past, the present, your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. Whew. I'm happy to be reunited with this deck. I like the Santa Muerte deck, but these images are so beautiful. They're the medieval and Renaissance art collages, and they're really resonating with me a lot tonight. So really feeling good touching these cards and looking at them. Knight of Cups in your recent past. This could have been a message, a heartfelt conversation, sharing some feelings, sharing maybe some love feelings. There was some bravery and some courage that happened in this conversation. A very courageous act. You knew how you felt, or whoever was communicating knew exactly how they felt. There was no mystery here. It wasn't up in the air. It wasn't like, there was no wishy-washiness here. It was very clear. Someone was courageous. Someone was brave. And it felt a little bit divinely guided. There might have been some difficult circumstances around it, but the communication was pure, was true, was courageous. In your current environment, you have the Death card, which I'm really liking because it does, what is that other than this? Surrendering to the divine. Is that not death? Letting go of something here, letting go of a life, a path. And then the end of a tough cycle approaches. She's been sick a while, right? So it's not death we're talking about. It's the metaphor of death. It's the major transformation in your life. Oh, look, there's little like coronaviruses right there, but they're yellow instead of red. So they're probably just like, I don't know, flu bugs or something like that. Maybe swine flu, because I think those are anyway, I'm not a medical, well, I am a medical professional, but I'm not that kind of medical professional that knows what things look like under a microscope. So anyway, oh, wow, there's something, you're being cared for. There's like, you're going through, you're ending the tough cycle. So this is the end of a tough cycle. There will be renewal. We know that much. But for now, it's a tough cycle ending, a really difficult situation coming to an end. And I love that someone's like holding like a wet cloth to your lips and moistening your lips and your mouth the way we do with someone who doesn't have a lot of control over this part of their body, but just making sure that they're comfortable. There's something here that's trying to help you be comfortable and be at peace with this. You may have ancestors or otherworldly helpers with you right now that are helping you be at peace with what's coming to an end, the tough cycle, the end of that tough cycle. And you're surrendering. This is a picture of you surrendering. Here's a photo of you surrendering. Remember when you did that a week from now? You're surrendering. And you're allowing this help to come in, this comfort to come in. You're surrendering to some sort of change. Yeah, I think we already covered that card with the end of the tough cycle approaches and surrender to the divine. This is the divine here. This blue. I think there's something interesting about this blue angel holding a thing to your lips. I think it does have to do with, there's no more need to like communicate something here. Like what's been communicated, what needed to be communicated has already been communicated. And this is resting. I think there's something interesting here that for this reading in particular about this resting of the throat chakra, resting of the communication and not needing to right now. And that's part of your surrender. That's part of your surrender is there's something about, there's an end to some sort of communication here. And you're getting comfortable with that or something. There's some sort of end. Has to do with some sort of communication, I think. Although I didn't get that from these cards, but I'm getting it from that one. What you're dreaming of, what you're hoping for is this Three of Cups, the getting together with people, with friends. You want communion with your tribe. You want to hang out with people that get you. You want to share your joys and your sorrows. Man, that hunger for that can be really strong, I think, at this point in the pandemic. Well, some of us are feeling like, oh, what did I ever want with people? And some of us are feeling like, oh, I am so ready for this. I'm so ready to hang out with some people, to see some people in person. I think one of the first times I hung out with people in person, I wanted to touch them, to like poke at their teeth and put my finger in their ear and figure out like, you're real? You're here. This is really amazing. So you're thinking of that. You're hoping for that. You might be fearing that, but you're hopeful that you're going to get to hang out with some people, maybe sing some songs, share some heartfelt feelings. Yeah, you're dreaming about that. You're hoping to hang out with some people casually, as friends, not casually, because that sounds like you're going to be chit-chatting about the weather. But this is a bit more of a deeper connection than that. This is not chit-chatting. This is a soulful connection is what you're dreaming of with your tribe. So what's at issue here is the Six of Swords and its reverse. So the Six of Swords in the upright would be moving on, leaving some place that's been very painful and possibly even a little bit dangerous for you. But we see an inability to move on for some reason, either through choices. But that's what's fun. Yeah, not being able to move on because we're not surrendering, right? This is like, okay, I give up. I'm going to go someplace where I feel safe, where I feel better. I'm giving up on this land. This might be not giving up on something, or not surrendering something, not moving on to the new place. It's not even, see, the Imrama is where are you being called to, right? The Six of Swords is about where are you being called to leave? Where are you leaving? It's a very much where you're going to is always a mystery in this card. Hopefully better. We don't really know and we don't really care because what we're leaving over here sucks so hard that it doesn't even matter what's out there in the big wide open because this is bad. This isn't what we want anymore at all, and it's time to leave that. So this is it's in the upright, it would be a card about leaving something behind, but I'm not seeing that that's not happening. There's not a leaving of something behind. You're either intentionally not leaving something that you should leave behind, something you should give up on. Like the end of a tough cycle approaches. So it's not here yet. But this card almost indicates that it should have been here already. You should have launched off of this difficult place where you're at either through attitude or through life. And you should have left that behind, but you haven't yet. You haven't left it behind. I think you could if you wanted to. No, you might, yeah. I think you kind of could if you wanted to. Yeah, now that I say that, that's what feels right. Some of you, it could be that you're just not able to. But this is sort of surrendering to that, unknown future. Like, I don't know what's going to happen next. And you are being called to something. But this card focuses on what you're being called away to. But you're also being called into a mysterious place. When this is in the upright, like I was saying, we don't know what's over here. And we almost don't even care because we're being called away from something. But we're being called into mystery. And we could be being called into surrendering to the divine, into surrender. Because that's what that card is. That's where you're going. And this is fascinating. Cancer got this exact same card in this exact same spot. In your environment, you have a Queen of Cups. So this could be any gender. This is someone that's really thinking about how they feel and what they think. So the queens are very self-contained. They're more about their own lives, who they are. And it's about, like, what do I think? What do I feel? How am I in this situation? So there's somebody in your environment, male or female, that's definitely doing some soul searching, thinking about what they feel, maybe even thinking about love. I mean, we have 3 cups cards here. So relationships, at least, if not a love relationship, is at stake here, is a discussion, is what we may be discussing here, right? So there is somebody else here who knows what they think, who knows how they feel about something. They may not be sharing it, but they certainly have done a lot of exploration and are pretty clear on how they feel about this. And then in your to-do list is the 6 of Wands. The 6 of Wands is take a victory lap. It's like, it's the parade. It's the you were successful. Allow your community to celebrate your success with you. So I think you are dreaming about hanging out with your community. And this, in a way, is allowing your community to celebrate your successes, allowing them to come with you, allowing them to support you, maybe even in this transition, because we're getting the support here. This could be actually people, this death card could be actually people in your community that would like you to support you through a transition, through what for you may feel like a victory or a final thing. But I do feel like this does mimic also the end of a tough cycle approaches, where you're completing something and your community around you is with you in this completion, is helping you to complete this, or is celebrating your completion. I think there is a lot of community support here. So this could be, so the 6 of Wands could feel like, your community wants to support you, allow them to support you. I'm not necessarily getting that it's a victory here because it sits right under this death card, but I think your community wants to support you in a big transition in your life, a big change, the end of this tough cycle. And I think that you need to allow them. This could also be, the 6 of Swords reverse could also be not allowing someone else to ferry you across. Trying to do this all yourself when you're supposed to have the support person right here, your fairy master, bringing you across. They know the route, they know the way. So the 6 of Wands, I'm feeling like could be allowing your community. It could also be related to this 3 of Cups, as far as like getting together with people. And this might be, get together with some people, because there is some sort of public element here, public sort of celebration of you, or support of you, a public support of you. And maybe that's a little unusual for you, and that's something that you're not used to seeing, but maybe you really want that. But you're just not used to doing it. But this is saying you need to allow it to happen, maybe even invite it to happen. Let other people know how they can support you and how they can move with you in whatever situation you're trying to win, or whatever you're trying to accomplish. Allow them to celebrate and support you as you try to accomplish it, even if it's a difficult thing, allowing people to be in there. And then 2 of Swords here is being very focused and very stubborn about something is where you could be going. You could be, this could be a warning to not turn your back on intuition, to not block these blessings. These people want to come in and they want to support you. They want to support you. It feels very good for us to support and to help others. It makes you allow other people to feel useful, to feel valued. I think with such a with 7 billion people here in such a crowded society, it can be hard to feel valued. But when somebody asks you to support them or allows you to support them, you can feel valued. So if you need support, I say go get it, because people are going to appreciate that and they're going to feel good. You're just letting people feel good about themselves. That if you need that reframing of allowing people to help you, you're actually helping them by helping them feel like they have a place in this world and that they are valued members of your life. So it's really a gift to allow people to help you. It's a gift that you give to people that love you. So this could be a warning that there's some stubborn energy ahead, some blocking. You could be blocking your blessings here because we have this surrender to the divine. But what you might be approaching, especially if this whole situation is like getting to a very tender spot in here, there's a lot of blockage, a lot of stubbornness, a lot of refusal. So this could be I see this as a warning to not be refusing the help that wants to come in, the cavalry sort of that wants to come in and help you possibly. I mean, not possibly. People want to help you. That's that. Don't block them. Don't refuse it. It could be about that. You want this community. You really want it. You're craving it. It's on your mind. So don't block it when it wants to come in, as is a common thing. I mean, maybe your family just never asked for help or never received help or thought that that was a sign of weakness or something like that. It could be, that's what you need to break, is that refusal to ask for help, refusal to allow your community to nurture and nourish you as you make a huge transition in your life, right? But this Two of Swords could be, just don't, that's too many. Just don't, a warning to not block things, or that there could be a block coming up ahead, put in by somebody else, and you're going to need your community to get through that blockage. It's a very stubborn energy, a little bit of denial energy in that card too, a refusal to listen to your own intuition, a refusal to listen to your own self. Oh, I love this. This is, life moves really fast. Really fast. Allow some support, allow some help, allow a helping hand is what I'm seeing here. Life charging at you, allow some help. So let's see what it says, because sometimes it's different than what I see. And both messages seem to be helpful for people. So we'll just do both my intuitive message and what it actually says. The quickening, the fast track with the Divine Mother moves us rapidly through life's challenges. The road can get a bit bumpy when traveling at her accelerated pace. Nor will you often feel that you are in control of the navigation. That is part of the experience. We were talking about surrendering to the divine and how difficult that can be. Now, part of the difficulty could be a refusal to surrender to the unknown. That is part of the experience when you are to be moved rapidly with divine help. Best to just hold on to her and trust you'll get where you need to be. So life's coming at you pretty fast, surrendering to the divine, allowing the fact that you may not be in control of this experience, and that's probably a little bit difficult for you. So, all right, Leo, I hope that this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for your likes and your comments and your subscribes, and I hope you have a wonderful week.